Good morning, students. In last video, when we were discussing about the questions on poetry, poet's name are compulsory to learn and the poetic devices. Poet's name are already written in the videos. Now the poetic devices I am going to discuss in detail. First poem is a photograph. The cardboard shows me how it was. It means in this line, cardboard is personified. Cardboard is a non-living thing, but it is addressed as a person. So it is personification. Next is alliteration. Stood still to smile. S sound is repeated. When the sound is repeated, particularly the first letter sound is repeated, it is alliteration. When a word is repeated, it is repetition. And when a line is repeated, it is refrain. So, understand the difference between alliteration, repetition and refrain. Next, again, example is personification. The sea is personified, which appears to have changed less. Sea is a non-living thing and sea is described in this line as a living human being. Next is terribly transient. It is again alliteration. T sound, first letter sound T is repeated. Next is labored ease. Auximeron. Auximeron means when two opposite words, contradictory words are put together in a line. This is called Auximeron. Labored means difficult. Ease means easy. Opposite words. Its silences again. It is alliteration as well as personification. Silences sound. First letter sound is repeated. And how it is personification? Silence is personified here. Silence never silences others. But here silence is silencing the poetess. Now the next poem, Voice of the Rain. Again in this poem, personification, metaphor, alliteration. Personification, rain is personified in the whole poem. And the dialogues like, I am the poem of earth, I descend to lave the earth, I am the song of the earth. But in song of the earth, poem of the earth, both are metaphors also. Personification as well as metaphors. Alliteration, soft shower, s sound is repeated. Said also. Whence vaguely. No, thou, W and V are the letters, but it is alliteration because whence vaguely. W sound is repeated over here. Now the next poem, the Lebanon Top. Alliteration, September sunlight, s sound is repeated. Simile, sleek as a lizard, as word is used, and goldfinch is compared to a lizard. Metaphor, a machine of chittering. Machine is another thing and it is used for another thing. It is the engine of her family. Engine is another thing. It is concerned with train, but here it is used with bird and tree. Again personification, the whole tree trembles. The tree is not a human being who trembles, but here the tree is described as a human being, as a person. Transferred epithet. Transferred epithet means when the attribute of one thing is used with another thing. Her bard, face identity. Here epithet means attribute is transferred. Bard means, I told you already, bard means lined. The face is not lined. It is her identity mark. Identity mask, sorry. So this is transferred epithet. Now repetition, refrain, I have already explained. So is a group of words or phrase which gets repeated throughout the poem. This is the poem My Childhood, and every stanza starts with the similar lines, the third stanzas. Where has my childhood gone? Where did my childhood go? Was that the day? These two lines are repeated. Maybe one line repeated or two lines repeated. Both is refrain. It is not called repetition, it is refrain. Again I tell you, repetition means repeating the words, refrain means repeating the lines, and alliteration means repeating the first letter sound. Next is antithesis. It is a rhetorical device in which two opposite ideas are put together in a sentence to achieve a contrasting effect. For example, hell and heaven. Opposite words है ना? Again, alliteration. My, mind, ma sound is repeated. Whichever way, wa is repeated. That, they, the is repeated. So these all are the poetic devices. You revise them, and one correct poetic devices will be given in the multiple choice, and one wrong. You are to collect. If you have learnt all the correct poetic devices, you will definitely choose the correct one. Thank you, students.